Well, this is probably the date that every MLS fan has been waiting for ever since it was announced a couple of weeks ago that there will be a tournament down in Orlando to restart the MLS season, and ever since the MLS season was put on a pause because of the COVID-19 pandemic, because today is officially the day when MLS announced when exactly the tournament is going to be beginning in Orlando, and they also announced the detail in terms of this tournament. And today they said that the tournament is going to begin in July 8th, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit more information on this article on the league website. The return of MLS is only a few weeks away. For the first time since play was suspended due to the COVID-19 pandemic on March 12th, MLS team will take the field in an official tournament beginning on July 8th for a unique tournament at the ESPN Wide World of Sports at Disney World Resort in Florida, and that of course is going to be in Orlando. So how we will work, what does it mean to 2020 season, blah, 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 blah. Here's some quick facts. So the tournament will be taking place between July 8th to August 11th. There will be 54 matches, 39 group stage game, and 15 knockout round. There's going to be 26 different match day, and the format is going to be group stage, round of 16, quarterfinal, semifinal, and championship. Basically, kind of like your normal kind of tournament style of play that is going to be the format of this tournament. Minimum match, there's going to be 3 per club, and maximum match will be 7, which is going to be 2 of the finalists. That's going to be playing 7 match as the maximum of this tournament. Key date, June 24th is when team begin arriving in Florida. July 8th is when the MLS is back tournament group stage begin. Yes, that's the name of the tournament. I wish MLS can come up with a better names, and I wish they at least could have just honored maybe some of the frontline worker, or maybe do something even honor in terms of the whole Black Lives Matter protest that is going on, but I guess they just couldn't quite think of a much clever name, and they just say that it's the MLS is back tournament group stage begins. But yeah, after that, on July 25th to the 28th, we got the round of 16 that begins. July 30th to August 1st is when the tournament gets to the quarterfinal. August 5th to the 6th is when the tournament goes to the semifinal. And August 11th is when the final is going to take place. How will the tournament work? Similar to the FIFA World Cup, the tournament will feature a continuous schedule of matches nearly every day, with games beginning at 9 in the morning. Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, this is gonna suck, and this is the time where I really hope they actually have some highlights and condensed matches that's going to be posted on the league website, because there is no way in the world I'm waking up at 6 in the morning to watch a match. Like, unless if my favorite team, the San Jose Earthquakes and Minnesota United, is going to be taking place matches at that time, which God forbid, that would be really, really harsh on the Quakes. But at the same time, it's not a big surprise because the league love to screw the Quakes over, and I won't be surprised, as I'm going to mention in terms of the random draw, that they're going to get the group of death because of this. But I really hope, God forbid, that they don't put us at 9 in the morning, because no Quakes fan is going to wake up that early in the morning, especially how screw up my sleeping schedule is ever since this pandemic is going to happen, that I'm going to be watching a match that early to basically watch them play. Like, I already complained, I think last year when we play against NYCFC, which was a 9:30 a.m. kickoff, and that was originally going to be a 4 p.m. kickoff, but for whatever reason, the league decided to screw us over and decided to put us at a 9:30 a.m. kickoff, and yeah, I thought that was really the only time I get to do that, but it looked like I might have to do it again with the way that they said that the tournament will begin as early as 9 in the morning, which is going to be 6 a.m. on my time. Beginning at 9 a.m., 8 p.m., and 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So basically, I think the reason why they decided to begin it so early in the morning and so late at night is because, you don't want to play in the daytime down in Orlando, and everybody knows that when you decide to play in the daytime, especially in Orlando where it's very humid and hot, there is no way in the world you are going to actually get these matches going where the players are going to be very happy with playing in those kind of weather. So it makes sense why they decided to either play in very early in the morning or play it when when the sun goes down, where the temperature is going to be a little bit cooler. With the majority of the matches to play in the evening. Yeah, they better play majority of the matches in the evening. Otherwise, those 9 a.m. matches, yeah, there's no way in the world I am going to wake up to watch that. Those matches, I got to have to watch the condensed version because, again, unless if my favorite team is playing in those matches, no way in the world I'm waking at 6 in the morning to watch an MLS game. The group stages, there's going to be 26 teams and will be split into 6 groups. The Eastern Conference will have 3 groups, 1 of the 16 and 2 with 4 teams each, while the Western Conference will have 3 groups, each consists of 4 teams. So, unfortunately, I was really hoping that with these groups, they will just kind of do like a little random draw, and that some Eastern Conference team can be with this, can be in the same group as Western Conference team, because after all, this is a tournament and every team is down in Orlando, so it doesn't really matter if an Eastern Conference team groups up with a Western Conference team. But I guess maybe because of the fact that they also said this tournament counts toward the regular season, and if that is going to be the case, it does create a little bit of a logistic nightmare in terms of the actual, if they count this tournament in terms of the games and carry over the season. That's why they probably decide not to do that. So, unfortunately, we're not going to have any group where an Eastern Conference team is going to be taking on a Western Conference team in a group stage, and the only time we're going to see kind of an inter-conference matchup is going to be the final of this tournament. Each team will play 3 group stage matches over the course of 16 consecutive days. The top 2 teams from each group, along with the 4 best third place finisher, will move on to the knockout stage, beginning with the round of 16. Very similar to the Euros 2016 format, where they decided to have the best 4 third place finisher to move on alongside with the top 2 team. And the reason why they do this is because since you have 6 groups of 4, if you decide to put the top 2 teams all through, you only get 12 team each, so that you need to figure out what about the 4 remaining team to make it a 16 team kind of knockout stage. And that's where it comes in terms of the third place finisher, and that the top 4 third place finish will then move on into the knockout stage to basically make the even 16 teams to have a knockout tournament like that. If 2 or more clubs are tied on points in the group stage, MLS regular season tiebreaker procedure are used. So this is going to be a little bit different in terms of the World Cup tiebreaker, because the MLS tiebreaker is a little bit different than the World Cup one, where in the MLS regular season tiebreaker, wins is the first thing that it counts, and then I think it's either head to head. Actually, let me take a look. Is it head to head? Okay, so it's the total number of wins, goal differential, goals for, fewer disability point. Oh, so the head to head doesn't really matter. So the second one is actually the goal differential, whereas in the World Cup tournament and in most tournament itself, usually goal differential is the first thing to determine. Which I have a feeling, if they decide to go with this format, a lot of teams are going to get past the first part of the tiebreaker, since a lot of teams are probably going to get the same amount of wins by the end of the tournament, and they're going to have to determine by the goal differential either way. Let's see, where am I at? The tiebreaker for determine the 4 third place points are points, goal differential, goal score, fewest disability point. Yeah. Group stage tournament draw. Draw of the tournament will take place tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, which means I'm going to have to make another video, talk about where each team is, and kind of tell you who actually got screwed over by this random draw and what is the group of death in this tournament. Nashville SC will be placed in the Eastern Conference and will remain in the Eastern Conference for the remaining of the 2020 season. And that's great news if you are a Nashville fan, because imagine if they are going to return back to the Western Conference after the tournament. And that, I know a lot of people complain about Nashville being in the Western Conference when clearly they're not a Western Conference team. They clearly should be an Eastern Conference team, and that we're going to have like a lot of travel nightmares throughout the season. Well, good news is they're no longer going to have that, because they will remain an Eastern Conference team even after this tournament is over. As the host team, Orlando City will be the top seed in the 16th group, which is one of the reasons why I wear Orlando City in this video, and the other reason is because this tournament is taking place in Orlando. The full groups stage draw detail is going to be right here. All right, let me take a look. Okay, the 26th team will be drawn to one of the 6 groups, yada 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 yada. Each group will have a seeded team. As the host team, Orlando City SC will be the top seed in 6-team group. The remaining 5 seed will be out of the East, Atlanta United, who was the 2019 Aldi MLS Cup playoff semifinalist, Toronto FC, who represent the Eastern Conference in the MLS Cup, LAFC, who was the 2019 Aldi MLS Cup playoff semifinalist, and then the Seattle Sounders, the defending champion of MLS. Then we have Real Salt Lake, who was the next highest point total in the Western Conference from the 2019 season, that will also represent the top seed in the Western Conference. To determine which of the 20 unseeded club goes into which group, a representative from each of the 6 seeded club will participate in the draw by picking a number at random for their conference. Well, get ready for people that is going to about to say that the draw is going to be rigged, and the fact that some of these teams probably decided to have a strategy of how they're going to pick each ball. I mean, again, anytime when there is a random draw of how each group is going to take place, there's gonna be some people, especially conspiracy theorists, that's going to say that, well, I bet for some reason some of the ball must be warmed up, so that's why some of these teams decided to pick that, because they want this specific team to do that. You know, at the end of the day, I really don't care if that is going to be the case, whether if that gives an advantage to these teams or not. I mean, again, there's really no evidence in terms of it that if this is, of course, going to take place. So I'm actually not even going to talk a little bit more further about that. What else? Each number will correspond to a ball containing the name of an unseeded club that will join the seeded club group. Yeah, no shit, that of course is going to be the case. And also, by the way, because of the fact that you have these top seeded teams, that means in this case in the Eastern Conference, Atlanta, Toronto, and also Orlando City is not going to be in the same group, which I guess that's great news for Orlando City fans. At least they don't have to worry about the fact that Atlanta potentially is going to beat up them again in the so-called Southern Derby. And I think that's probably bad news for Atlanta fans, knowing the fact that they probably might have just got their free wins in the knockout stage potentially taken away, because they're not going to have a chance to play Orlando City in the group, unless if both of these teams are going to be moving on into knockout stage, then there could be a possibility that Atlanta could be actually easily move on into the next round if they get Orlando City in that place, in that point. And also in the West, LAFC, Seattle Sounders, and Real Salt Lake, all 3 of them unfortunately will not be playing each other in the group stage, because they are the top seed of each of the group. But everybody else, it's basically a fair game, and I can't wait if the Seattle Sounders is going to draw in the same group as the Portland Timbers, and that's when I think a lot of people are going to say, see, this draw is probably rigged, because they knew that they had to put the Portland Timbers in the same group as the Seattle Sounders, just because MLS wants rating, and that we want to have a Cascadia Derby in the group stage match. Let's see what else. Okay, so that's enough information about this. Blah, 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 blah. Knockout round matches finish a tie at the end of regulation. We'll proceed directly to a penalty kick shootout. So this is a little bit different to the World Cup thing, and this is kind of similar to what happened to the Copa America Centenario back in 2016, where all the matches in the knockout round will go straight into a penalty kick shootout if it ends in regulation, except in the final match, which I don't see here any information about how in the final match, if the game remains tied, they're actually going to go into extra time. So I'm guessing the final will also be the same case, where if the game remains tied after 90 minutes, we will unfortunately have to go through the dreaded penalty kick shootout. What's at stake? Regular season points. These are the 33-9 group stage. Games will count for points toward the 2020 regular season standings, which therefore, again, that's why they decided to not have Eastern Conference team and Western Conference team in the same group, because then it creates a little bit of a logistic nightmare, and that some fans will say it's unfair, the fact that we play some of the easiest Eastern Conference team, and then the other fans will just say, well, we play some of the easiest Western Conference team and we get the Heart team like that. So I think that might be a consideration why they didn't decide to put East and West kind of matchup in the same group and in a group stage match. The CONCACAF Champions League spot in a one-time change to the MLS berth to the annual CONCACAF Champions League. The MLS is back tournament. Winner will earn a spot to the CONCACAF Champions League, regardless of whether it is a U.S. or Canadian club. So that's a very interesting fact. And I wonder if a Canadian club does award the CONCACAF Champions League, are we going to have a situation where we could potentially see two Canadian clubs be in the CONCACAF Champions League? Because the other way that Canadian club can get to the CONCACAF Champions League is winning the Canadian Championship, or whether if that's not going to count anymore if a Canadian club does reach to the CONCACAF, if they grab this CONCACAF Champions League berth. This berth will replace the traditional award to the regular season conference leader that did not win the Supporter Shield. Actually, I never knew that the other conference leader will actually get a spot in the CONCACAF Champions League. I always thought it was the Supporter Shield winner that are guaranteed themselves to get the CCL spot. Didn't think that the other team, the second place team in the Supporter Shield standing, would also get that spot. Prize money in addition to the match that count in the regular season. Tournament will give players an opportunity to earn a bonus as part of a $1.1 million prize pool. Notice I didn't talk about how much exactly you, of course, would earn if you win the whole tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how that is going to be. I doubt it's going to be a lot of money. I think it's going to be probably the same amount you would get if you, of course, win the U.S. Open Cup final. General competition rules. Substitution. Clubs can make up to 5 substitution per match. Of course, that was a rule change by the IFAB a couple weeks back. And, this will, of course, give each club will have a max opportunity for free opportunity to make those 5 sub in every match. Sub may at halftime will not count toward one of the free opportunity. Now, that is a pretty big kind of rule, where I think this basically just says that, if you decided to make a sub at halftime, then, it's not going to count one of the free opportunity. Although I'm not quite sure, do they also mean that if you make sub at halftime, does that mean it's not going to count toward the 5 substitute that you're allowed to make a match? Matchday roster. Team will also be able to name a matchday roster featuring up to 23 players. That's kind of a rule that affects in the regular season too. Video review, as in the case during the regular MLS play, the professional ref organization or pro will have access to video review for all games. So VAR does exist in these tournaments, and I can't wait until people are going to complain about how they're going to misuse doing these tournaments and how this is. I have a feeling there's going to be at least one VAR situation where a team is going to get screwed over, either during the group stage match or most likely during the knockout stage match, because that's the world we're living in right now, and that is the way that how MLS VAR works. Delay and postponement. Match delay and postponement will be held as per 2020 MLS regular season rule. Any group stage match may be considered final should it reach the 60th minute mark, and it is determined that the match cannot continue. So something similar to the MLB way, where if you go through half of the game and after 5 innings, if the game cannot continue, then it is, of course, an official game. And this is very crucial too, because in Florida, if you know that in July there are some lightning storm that happens in Florida very often, so there could be a possibility we could see a game or two in the group stage where this rule could come into effect if that is going to be the case. Disciplinary procedure. All discipline received from the first 2 of the 2020 MLS regular season will carry over to the MLS is back tournament, or all group stage discipline will be reset before the start of knockout stage, except for red card and second yellow or disciplinary committee action, which will carry over the knockout stage. There will be no yellow card accumulation policy for the knockout stage. Well, that's a very crucial rule, and that's a rule that is a little bit different to the other tournament rule, where yellow card accumulation does carry over into the knockout stage. Any group stage discipline that has not been served prior to the end of group stage will be prior to the next 2020 regular season match following the competition of the tournament. If a player receives a second yellow in the final group stage match, but the first yellow card was also his fifth yellow card of the regular season, the player will be suspended for the first knockout competition match due to the red card suspension and for his first regular season match following the tournament. So I guess that's the only way you can actually get suspended for a knockout match. Red cards and disciplinary committee action in any player final knockout stage match will carry over the regular season. All other knockout stage discipline that has not been fully served prior to the conclusion of the knockout stage will not carry over to the regular season following the tournament. And upon the completion of the MLS is Back tournament, MLS plan to continue its regular season with a revised schedule in home market, followed by the Audi MLS Cup playoffs and the 25th MLS Cup. The schedule will be developed at a later day. So, as I expected, they're still working on when exactly the regular season is going to return after this tournament. And at this tournament, it's just a way for them to kind of buy them some time in terms of how to get everything organized for the season to return. And we're going to have another playoffs and have a kind of like another little of these tournament as we head into the latter part of the season. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much my incredibly detailed information about this tournament. I probably spent a long time kind of explaining this, but there's a lot of detail that I want to kind of expand, and I want to try to give you guys as much detail as possible of how this tournament is going to work out. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what do you think of it, and that, you know, tomorrow I am going to do another video where I'm going to be talking about where each team is going to be grouped up, and I have a feeling some people are going to be very angry about how their team is going to group up, and some teams are going to get screwed over by getting into the toughest group ever. And also I can't wait to hear a lot of people complain, and a lot of people are going to say that this draw is rigged because of the way that each of these teams belong in this specific group. But either way, hope you guys enjoy this video, and I of course will see you guys next time.